Well, I'm very excited to finally share with you how I created my Sharingan and Rennigan eyes inside Adobe After Effects and Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Pro. If this seems interesting to you, I guess then you should just hang on because we're about to go on a joyful ride. Lil Pop Studios. Well, hello there, who is it we have here? Don't mention your name because I'm not going to hear it. My name is Farid and you're watching VFX with Reed, show on this channel where we take the Hollywood effects or bigger effects and break them down into simpler bits for you, the one at home, to be able to recreate or just experience it with fun. Last week I created this Sharingan and Rennigan eye effect. I posted it on my socials and someone requested for a tutorial, so if you're the one who requested for a tutorial, have it here. The softwares we're going to be using is just Adobe After Effects, Premiere Pro and Adobe Photoshop, which I always this is not new to anybody who has already subscribed to this channel. If whatever I said kind of interested you, I guess then you should just hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post exciting content. Now, without any further ado, let's just jump right into the shorts and start creating some magic. Well, the shorts aren't really anything complicated. Again, what we just need is a shot of someone pretending to be super powered, which he's not. He's just a normal human being who is just Naruto dreamy. Is that even a word? Apart from that, that's just all the shots we need. We just need to jump right into Adobe After Effects and then start making some magic. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to create our Sharingan and our Rennigan inside Adobe Photoshop, which is very simple to do by just using ellipses and all those things with colors. I decided to take a reference from what I did. I'm just recreating it, so I'm taking references from what I did like in the last time I did it, I think so. And right after we are done with our creation of our Sharingan and Rennigan, we just export them as JPGs or PNGs and then jump right into Adobe After Effects and then start creating magic or a Sharingan and Rennigan. Well, just in case you cannot be able to create your Sharingan and Rennigan, you can just check the link in the description. I've left mine, the PSD and the JPGs inside, so you can go edit it and use it. Let's then jump into Adobe After Effects and start with the compositing then. Well, start by creating a new composition from your footage. That's by right clicking, selecting new comp from selection. Duplicate the main footage inside the composition and rename it to right eye. Right click and select pre-comp and then move all attributes into new composition. Double click to open the new pre-comp and that's where we are going to be working in. Move the playhead to the part at which the eye opens best and then start creating a mask around that part. Change the mode of the mask to none so we can view everything around the mask. If you are to use mask tracking, it's not going to work. That's because our eye opens and closes, so we would have to do the parts which the eye opens and closes manually. So you can now start by just moving backwards by pressing page up and then creating the mask frames manually by yourself. So at the point where the eye is fully closed, we can either cut our footage at that point or we can just press Alt and parentheses to let our footage start at that point. Well, we can now move to the part at which the eye opens fully and then we can right click on the mask and select track mask. So then click on the track forward button so that the mask will be tracked throughout the whole footage. But note one thing, when your eye blinks, the tracking will go hocus pocus, so you'd have to move back to that part and correct it and move to the part at which the eye opens best again and continue tracking the mask. Well, then after manually making the masks, at the point at which the eye is fully closed, you can press Ctrl Shift D to cut and move to the part at which the eye opens again. Continue with the mask again and then you can press Ctrl Shift D to cut all the parts at which the eye is closed and delete all those parts. Since we are not going to need them, they're just going to distract our composition. So we can now change our mask mode to subtract and just play through to be sure that our mask has been tracked very well. Well, we are now going to duplicate all the footages inside our composition and then we are now going to start changing the mask mode for the other duplicate that we've created. Now we are going to rename the first part the right eye add 1 and the right eye add 2 and then rename the other part to right eye subtract 1 and right eye subtract 2 just to differentiate. Well, then we have to pick one of our duplicates again and duplicate it and now rename it as right eye clean plate. So for this one we are just going to clear all the masks off it so we can have a clean plate to work with. And well, then it's now time to run over into importing and then start importing our Sharingan and Rennigan. But for this one I'm just going to experiment with just one eye so you can just follow the steps and then do the same thing for the other eye. So right after importing, we are just going to bring it into our composition that we are working in and create a circular mask around it to remove all the other black parts around it. And then we are going to right click and select pre-compose and then move all attributes into the new composition. Well, we now need to track something that kind of moves in line with the eyeball, right? So now we just need to track like the eyelid, or I think so. Now we are going to duplicate anything inside our composition. If there are masks on it, just delete it and rename it to the track or tracking data, I think. And then we just head over into the tracker panel and then look for track motion and then click on it. Move the point to the point at which the eye, like the eyelid or something, I just don't know how to call it. And then we are now going to check other positions in our own. Then you just click on the track forward button and let Adobe After Effects do its thing. Well, what I have to tell you guys is nothing that much. I just want to thank you for 400 subscribers. That was like 3 to 4 days ago, and I made a promise that after my 400 subscriber appears, I'm going to make my first assets pack, which is the Ultimate YouTuber Starter Pack, which is going to contain almost everything a beginner YouTuber is going to need. It's going to contain lower thirds, end screens, YouTube subscribe buttons, comments, and so many other things. And the file formats are going to be in MOV, MOGRT, that's motion graphics template, and some of the AEPs are going to be given out, and some of them you'd have to buy them, but the whole asset pack is free. Just in case you want to see some of the project files of some of the lower thirds and other things, I'll just be putting them up for sale in case you just want to buy them. But if you don't, you just can download the free ones. I'm still working on them. I'm done with the first part, that's the lower third part. I'm now going into the end screens and all those things. So all you just need to do is share my channel link and just let guide people who want to learn VFX or have passion in this, just subscribe, and then it's just gonna help the both of us, I think. So without any further blabbering and all those things, let's just jump right into the tutorial and then continue creating our Rinnegan Sharingan effect. Well, we now have to apply our tracking data to something, right? So just right click and select a new null and then rename the null to tracking data. Now move into our tracker panel again and look for edit target, click on it, make sure our target is on the tracking data now, and then go on apply and make sure it's on X and Y, and then click on OK. Well, you can now scale and position your Sharingan into your eye and just make sure that it fits at where it's supposed to be, and then now parent whip it to the track null or the tracking data that we just created. Well, you just have to change the blending mode to screen in order to just remove the black and make it blend in with the eye. Well, then you can now move your Sharingan to the downest part inside your composition, but just make sure that it's above your clean plate. And then we are going to change the blending mode of the masks that we created in these footages, that is the right eye at 1 and at 2. We are going to change the blending modes of them to screen just to make the reflection of the eye on top of our Sharingan. So now we can reduce the opacities down to maybe 40 or 60, and then we can now start feathering the masks by at least 10, just not to create any hard edges. So right after that, we can just decide to create some rotation keyframes for our Sharingan so that it will kind of not look raw or just stay still inside our composition or our eye inside there. Let's just make it look a little bit interesting. So you just move to the start of the composition and create a keyframe, move to the end and create another keyframe of maybe like 30 rotations or 40 rotations. It depends on how long your footage is. So now we are going to cut our Sharingans at the parts at which our eye is closed just by pressing Ctrl-Shift-D at any part where the eye is closed. So you can now delete the parts where the eye is closed, and then our Sharingan will stay at where the eye is open. So since it looks like our Sharingan isn't that visible, we can just duplicate it just so, since their blending modes are screen, it kind of adds some little bit of glow and then it's more visible inside your composition. Moving back into the main composition that we created, we can just add a rectangular mask on our right eye, then duplicate the main footage inside that composition again and do every single step that we just did inside this eye and do it for the same left eye. Well, it's then time for the color grading, but before that, I'd just like to tell you one thing. Just stay tuned. It's not kind of like a sponsor break, it's just an announcement I want to make. So now for the color grading, it's very easy. I just decided to create a new adjustment layer and added the following effects to it. I added the exposure effect, I added the brightness and contrast, I added the curves effect, and I added the photo filter. I then adjusted it to look like a war scene or some kind of dark, moody scene, like not kind of moody, a dark action scene. And then I just went over to YouTube, looked for some embers and then just came and blasted them on top of it, changing the blending modes to screen and reducing the opacity. So now I just had to go back into Adobe Premiere Pro and then do some more color grading, do some sound design, and just add a simple transition, and in the end we're able to create something very cool like this. Well, if this simple tutorial helped you to create something, you can just tag me on Instagram at Leopap Studios, or you can follow me on all my socials, that's down below here. You can support me on Paystack or Patreon, links down below again. If you haven't watched my short death battle that was like last 3 to 4 months ago I made it, you can check the link in the description so you can see it and feel some kind of VFX and sweetness inside your body. And you can also subscribe, it's very free, it's free. Like if you like my content, you can subscribe and you can like the video so the YouTube algorithm can recognize it and recommend it to other people. And till the next episode, get some creative ideas and then keep it real. I hope I see you in that one too, I guess. Bye.